What is your agency doing to help prevent inmate on-staff assaults? What is your agency doing to help prevent inmate violence? Hi, I'm Gary York, True Prison Stories. Please subscribe if you like this video. I'm writing an article. That's why my laptop's in front of me here, so I can peek at it and see some things. I'm writing an article about my personal opinion that assaults on staff members is on the rise by inmates. And violence in prison seems to be on the rise every year a little more. And I'm going to give a very small sample of why I think of that and what can we do to try to prevent it and what prison management should be looking at. I would suggest that they study their annual reports on correctional officer assaults and at least keep an eye on whether the assaults are rising and why they're rising, and do something about it. Not just send these reports in because they're mandatory in many states, and Department of Justice also keeps track of inmate assaults on staff as well. In Florida, we have what we call an Inmate on Staff Assault Advisory Report that comes out throughout the year, and it tells you how many officers throughout the state have been assaulted by inmates. And you can look at 2022, 2021, 2020, and you can go back and look at it. And every state should have this available, either titled the same way or another way, and it should be public record, where you can go in there and look at it all you want and find out what's going on with inmate on staff assaults. Now, as far as frequency goes, I did a small comparison, very small, but you can do the comparison yourself and come to your own conclusion. From Florida DOC, the Inmate Assault on Staff Advisory Report. From October 5 to October 11, 2022, the report indicates 18 assaults occurred on staff by inmates, which is up 10 assaults from the same time period in the 2021 report, which was 8. From November 2 to November 8, 2022, the report indicates 22 attacks on officers by inmates, which is up 14 from 2021 at the exact same time period, which indicated 6 attacks on staff members. These type of reports should be public records for all of us. Now, you can go through that report, and I'll put the link down at the bottom of this YouTube, www.DC State Florida U.S. Press Assaults. It's public record, folks. Now, what should we be doing about this as an agency? Well, number one, the inmates must be disciplined according to policy and procedure, which it states on the Florida website. I want to add one more thing. I should add that we must investigate and pursue criminal charges on the inmates who attack correctional officers. I don't see that enough written around in policy. We need to investigate and at least forward it to the state attorney and put it on their shoulders. Let them decide, okay? There's no secret that the inmates are using more and more blindside and ambush attacks now more than ever on correctional officers, in my opinion. We need to pay attention to what is going on. And first and foremost, keep an eye on these advisory reports about inmate attacks on staff. If there's a sudden increase in attacks on staff, we should find out why it's happening. And whether it's 6 attacks or 21 attacks, we need to find out what's happening, right? We must provide safety and security for the front line. Now, I'm not going to get into great detail on each one of these. My article will. Let me just point out some things that we need to look for when we have an increase in attacks on officers. Is there an increase in gang violence on the compound? What shift are most of the assaults occurring on, and why? Are disciplinary measures being used appropriately and when needed? Current jail or prison condition. What's the condition of your jail and prison? Is that having anything to do with the rise in violence by the inmates? Are staff and supervisors trained in this area and up-to-date training on how to prevent assaults on officers. Now, we know that's going to happen. It's happened for centuries. It's going to happen. But we don't want it to happen as often as it's happening right now. We've got to do everything we can to prevent these attacks on officers. Are inmates classified correctly? Huge. If we've got the wrong inmates in the wrong areas with the wrong dorms, and not in with other inmates they shouldn't be in with, we're going to have some prison violence. Are random searches being conducted, showing that we're maintaining control? Yes, we're outnumbered 200 to 1 in most cases, but still, the inmates know we're totally outnumbered. But if we keep control and keep that contraband down, every weapon we find, every cell phone we find, drugs we find, that is a huge help in prison violence, toning it down. Never be so bold, managers, to not listen to your frontline staff and take advice. They're the ones on the front line working with these inmates, and it's okay to hear what they have to say, and you may just go, wow, good idea, officer. Let's use that. Let's use that. Let's try and see what we can do. Let me send that up the line. Let me send that up the chain. Don't be a hero leader where everything has to be your idea. We can listen to everyone. Civilian staff have some good ideas sometimes too, because they're in there with the inmates all day. Here's what management can't always control, and I'm going to leave it at that and let you guys think about this. Staff shortage, overcrowding, staff overworked and mandatory overtime. Well, that's because of the staff shortage. Political climate. Yes, it does play a big part in inmate behavior. What's happening on the streets does trickle into the jails, and if you just listen to what the inmates are saying and doing and how they're acting and what they say to you when they get off the chain, sometimes you'll say, well, good God, that's happening out on the streets right now. Political climate. Officer complacency. We must teach officers about that. We cannot be complacent. Corruption, the few bad apples. Helping these inmates with violence by bringing them in contraband. Got to fight that. Inmate manipulation. Huge. We have to train and teach in inmate manipulation. Lack of criminal charges, I put again, because I think it's so important, on inmates who have attacked an officer. Take these things and run with it, folks. Come to your own conclusion. Thank you for watching. Gary York, True Prison Stories.